Today we're talking about Zillow getting hit with a RICO case. Not necessarily the case itself, but just a little bit about what realtors can do moving into 2026 to avoid things like this, not necessarily giving their money over to companies that have major control over your own clientele when it should come directly from you. The Zillow family was comprised of realtors, brokers, mortgage companies, and of course the website itself. They were in cahoots together to try and force clients not only when they landed on the website, but to use a certain mortgage company. And of course, that doesn't give your clientele the best option whenever it comes down to choosing what's better for them, right? So that's enough about the RICO case itself. You can go and do some research on it. Today, I want to talk about how realtors can build their own pipeline and not have to worry about websites, social media platforms, whatever it may be. If something like that goes down, what can a realtor do? Let's say that they're big on TikTok and TikTok gets banned, right? What can they do to build their pipeline, keep it, and continue to grow it without having to rely on certain things?
So I understand what you want to talk about and what your topic is, but I do want to highlight what RICO actually stands for, because a lot of people don't know what that means. And I was super surprised that people don't know what a RICO Act is. And essentially, it's organized, an organized crime that involves multiple entities, multiple people. So it just goes to show how to say power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it did that because we essentially gave the keys to Zillow to come in and use our IDX, and you know, all these realtors kept on buying leads from them, and you know, I caught this scam. What year did we buy Zillow leads?
I think we're like one of the first, 2012, 2014.
I think like 2012, 2014, we started buying leads, and we started seeing how corrupt it was and how non-beneficial it was. And it was like, you know what? Why am I paying a company in California to buy my leads back for an area that's my area? I mean, Houston's my area. I know this area. Why am I buying leads from somebody? And I stopped, and I think they tried to take us to collections or whatever because we had some kind of contract. And I said, no, I'm not going to pay you guys. But yeah, so yeah, RICO is very serious. I mean, if they have a RICO charge, it's something very serious, and I don't think people understand that. But back to your point. Sorry, go ahead.
And well, no, just to dive deep into that, I don't know if I would love to go a little bit further into it if you guys are okay with it, and we can do on the back end what realtors should do to avoid that. But it is true what Nate says. It's multiple people involved. There's brokers. There's team leads, there's realtors individual, there's title companies, there's lenders, and Zillow, the platform itself. Again, right, they got hit with RICO. The ones who get hit with RICO was like mafia because it's a whole criminal enterprise.
Yeah.
So, and what was the conviction rate for RICO charges? I believe it's like 99 or something like 99%. That. So if they got hit with a RICO charge, there was something there that was foul.
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand that, of course, whenever we always tell our clients, hey, use HAR. It's for a reason. But would you agree that I think that NAR and TAR let this happen?
Yes.
Because they completely bent over to Zillow because of the platform versus taking the money the realtors invest into NAR and TAR and doubling down and creating a website that's just as good to rival Zillow.
Absolutely. They're to blame on all this. And I said it years ago. I think I even got in trouble for it. Remember, I posted it on Facebook and I was saying all these things, and they put their attorney on me for me to essentially cease and desist. And the thing about it is that my argument, or I guess what I've really been upset about all these years is that it has taken people that know nothing about real estate and just made them these superstars. And I'll drop names, and we know who they are. It's just real estate agents that if they don't have Zillow, they don't know what to do. They would not be able to practice real estate in Texas. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen to where they're going to get cut off, or things are going to change, and they're going to have to get back on the grind just like we did, and we're ahead of the game.
I think just to give a controversial take on this, on the other side of that, it's yes, buying leads and things like that. I don't know that I'm necessarily opposed to it. I think in certain agents, as their business grows, it is not worth their time to do some of these like marketing tactics that are a little redundant. Some of the marketing tactics that we do Giovanni and we're speaking to a newish agent earlier today, and I'm defending this guy, and Giovanni said, bro, they got to appreciate the labor. They got to do the labor to appreciate, the fruit that comes out. And at some point, you get jaded in that and you start to feel, what's my time worth? Do I really want to sit down and do X, Y, Z, or do I just want to pay for it? So when I think about, not Zillow in particular, because I am a Zillow hater. I saw how terrible these leads were, and how, they gave the same leads to the same people in the same markets, and they were competing over the same clients, and quite honestly, I'm a sales guy and I'm going to win. And I had to pull out some dirty sales tactics to win the client over. And it was things that I didn't really want to do to my peers. Not anything that did anybody in particular. It's just by nature, agents are late. By nature, agents are lazy and don't follow up. By nature, agents don't necessarily do their job. I'm good. I do my job. I am on time when I need to be, right? And what I would do is I would bank on these realtors not calling their clients back for follow-up. So I would immediately text them after their showing and said, hey, how did your showing go? Oh, I actually didn't like the home. Do you have more scheduled? No, I don't. Great, I'll go. So I would essentially take that lead from another guy that already went to go show a home. They already went to go set the expectation with Zillow and all that. And I would take their deals. And quite honestly, I just didn't like the feeling. I felt like I was competing for something that was already mine, and we got back into our marketing. But like I said, flip side of that, it's, as you grow in your business, is it not beneficial to pay for some of these tasks that, I think we said there are some things that you should pay for as an agent as you start making money and as your business starts evolving. To get to that next level, you do have to invest in yourself. Who are we to decide where you invest yourself in?
To give you pushback on that, though, is okay, paying for what's already yours. You're paying Zillow for your leads. And I think this is where Tar and R messed up, because they allowed that. These are your leads. It's your listing. They're using your listing. You would have got that lead anyways, because that person was looking for that property, right? On Zillow, this specific case versus you running ads on social media, whatever it may be, that's work that you're putting out there for people to come to you, versus paying Zillow to advertise your property. And then if you don't pay them, they just put another agent on there that they know nothing about the house. Yeah. And then, Danny, go ahead.
Hold on. So once again, Zillow wasn't that way. And this goes back again to agents being lazy. You could easily go on Zillow and claim the listing, and every lead that comes in goes to your Zillow pipeline.
You used to be able to do that.
I think you still can.
No. There's the reason. Main reason why I wanted to ask Danny about this. Main reason they got hit with the RICO is now not only do they push it out to the agents who are paying for Zillow leads, but as an agent, you have to refer, I believe it's 70 or 80% of your leads to the Zillow mortgage company, because if not, then they won't put you on the top spot.
And that's
where the RICO came in. Yeah. Now, Zillow has slowly been becoming like a one-stop shop thing, and they're forcing agents to use them no matter what. And so it's like they gamified everything. So it doesn't matter even if you paid, well, that's where the RICO came in, right? But before then, you couldn't even, it slowly started to change to where they just had complete control.
They had complete control.
I mean, what does this do for, it happens in all aspects. Danny, on the lending side, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but I'm a preferred agent at a couple lenders. Like Bank of America, some Rio foreclosure lenders and things like, Loan Care, Flagstar. I mean, I have a list. I have 18 lenders that I'm a preferred agent on. That I've been business with.
When are we going to talk about why we're steering away from what we're steering away from what actually works, guys? I mean, I think here, we're all seasoned, professionals in real estate. So leads work for rookies, for new starters.
Yes.
Now, if you want to stay in the business for decades, which I have, right, for years and years to come, you got to focus again. I got to say this. You got to focus on relationships, not the commission. So the lead is a starting point of how do you get a rookie to get the business. But what is going to keep you in the business, because he's right, at one point, something might be obsolete. AI is already here, that's replacing a lot of people. I was sick and AI symptoms, throw me already a prescription, eventually the technology is going to, but the one thing we're not going to get away from ever is going to be service. We provide a service,
Go ahead.
We provide a service, we provide a service, right? So that's something that is never going to go away. They're going to always want to come to us, the professionals, and the lead is only going to take you so far in this business. But it's once you nurture that one customer, that one transaction, and we actually got a podcast about that coming up, how to turn one transaction into 5 with that 1 year's time. Let's talk about how we can nurture that and turn that I mean, leads, I was part of it as well, Vic, and I spent thousands a month. I'm not going to throw names, but y'all know who they are. Didn't work, buddy. I mean, a lot of these people weren't even searching for loans or houses. They want credit card. They were looking for a car loan. So we reaching out to all this consumer looking for a complete different product or service than the ones I was paying for, you know. So yeah, I think that we cannot stay away from what actually works and keeping this business is nurturing that relationship.
You're bringing up kind of, I guess, two topics for me. My topic is, yes, I just had my training last night company wide, and the main point of my training was contacts equal income, right? The more contacts you make, the more income you make, and really doubling down on what contacts are able to like translate into sales for you, right? Is it in-person meetings? Are there social media, DMs? Are there, how are you contacting people? How many touches is it taking to convert? How are you doing those things, right? So yes, doing that for sure. But what I think, like, to touch back on the RICO, to bring it back that way, I was thinking, how does this affect, like, for lenders? And I don't know if you do this or if not, right? I was telling you that I'm on a preferred agent on a bunch of lenders, and
what's a preferred agent on lenders? Like, how's that work?
Technically, I have to send the freaking client back to them, so they're either their referrals or their repeat clients, right? So
they generate the lead.
I guess the biggest one is like Chase Agent Preferred, right? They have their private equity clients and their private clients, right? And they have tons of money. These guys can buy cash, or they can also, take a loan. They incentivize them to take a loan, right? Mm-hmm. So what they do is once you're in the platform, they'll give you these leads, but you have to use Chase, right?
What if excuse me, Vic, what if that particular financial Chase, for this case, right? What if they don't have the program to get the lending down for them? How's that work in this scenario?
Well, this is why I'm bringing up the RICO. You technically get dinged.
Mm-hmm. Really?
They don't want you to They don't want you to take the business off the platform. But if it's not the best interest of the client, I let the client make their decision, right? So I don't steer them anyway. I just point them in the facts, and they're going to make their own decision.
Yeah. When I was in new home sales years ago, something similar happened, to the effect that they were trying to put a lawsuit against builders for steering them to a lender, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is that the builder was essentially saying, well, no, these are my clients, and I want them to use my preferred lender,
my title company.
Yes, and I am paying for that if they use it. So that was the incentive.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how they got away from not being sued. A lot of things changed, right? To where the builders stopped saying certain things, certain wordings and stuff like that. But that was their client. I think it's similar here with, like, Chase, right? It's their client.
Right.
They're saying, no, use them here, and I'm giving them to you if they get a loan. If they don't get a loan and you take them somewhere else, well, then I'm not gonna incentivize. The incentive is to keep them as a client. What Zillow is doing is totally different. Okay, they're not, and everybody keeps on talking about, oh, well, I'm taking them to the, they're steering them towards a builder. But what a lot of people are missing out on here is, like what you just said right now. Leads are for rookies. Leads are to start your business and like you said, turn one lead into 5, right?
Yep.
Zillow's not even letting you do that. Zillow is saying, I gave you that lead, so for the next couple of years, if you get another sale out of this person or you get a lead from them, it's mine. And you have to pay me. And it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, how can you do that? I mean, they can definitely try to police it because they have the technology. And like I said earlier, they have, and a lot of realtors do not know this. But NAR sold all our data to Zillow. They gave them a contract that was ironclad, obviously, because they still have access to it.
And not just NAR, now even Follow Up Boss. Yeah. Now they have access to all of Follow Up Boss, that CRM, right? So and Zillow's not saying that they're going to automatically just ask you to opt in. No, they own Follow Up Boss now, and all those clients or all those leads or information belongs to them. So now they have all of that information, and just Zillow is becoming too big to control the consumer. And then it's not something small, right? It's housing. It's very important. Like, you can't, just because one lender doesn't have like 3 products doesn't mean that you're forced to use them. Yep. In this case, you are. So if Zillow doesn't have certain products, okay, what? Now this client goes somewhere else because you have your best interest for that client. You can't take them now because you're going to lose a commission.
Yeah.
All right, so you're not doing the best.
Who
interest for the client.
monitors builders, guys? Like, for example, for us lenders, it's an MLS.
Nobody.
For
Nobody.
realtors, it's
They do.
They do.
They don't have. They don't have an
they have the
entity
great-
who
they have the
polices
greater-
their practices. Really?
Not necessarily. No. Mm-mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not like Treg, like
They're-
policies and
they have their own
MLS.
contracts, yeah.
Yeah. No. Fair.
So anybody, anybody can just become a builder and set your own rules.
You don't even
basically.
need a license to build here. You can tell.
Wow.
I mean, that's why so many builders around here. And the thing about it is that it's funny, but back in 2012, 2010, Zillow was the number one searched website for homes. Okay, and it slowly it got a real bad reputation with its estimate, right? Because their estimates were just off the wall, especially in Texas, because that's not public knowledge. You have to have access to MLS. And so they lost credibility. Then they started. They became a broker. Remember that? And when they became a broker, they had to stop doing certain things, right, to maintain their license. So they're following, or should I say, the consumer really stopped using them. I mean, I think I saw something probably about 5-6 years ago to where it was showing where Zillow had just went down in views and website visits, right? So the thing is, we're sitting here in 2025, and Zillow is still relevant. Okay, who's keeping them relevant? The realtors are. The realtors are the ones that are buying the leads.
I think Gen Z is keeping them relevant. All the young kids that I sell homes to and do business with, 18 to 25-year-olds, they're constantly sending me Zillow links, and I'm constantly upset because I have my system and my platform set up with our own technology, or I use HAR's agent branded profile. But I give them two different options. Both are great. Both are seamless. In my opinion, both better than Zillow. And when I send them out, they don't do it. When I have my one-on-one consultation, I sign up with mine. And they don't do it. And I'm like, hey, I have HAR. It's a lot easier. Try it out. And I sign them up on my agent branded profile, and they don't use it either. And they're constantly sending me Zillow links, and it makes my life difficult. So these younger generation, they branded to them. And, they did their Super Bowl ads. They did their social media marketing. They did all their stuff. They spent money with the youth, and I think that's the long game. The long game is, you buy the youth now, they're going to be in their mind forever. That's going to be the platform they go to. Do I think agents are keeping in business? Of course, they're the one paying their bills,
definitely.
right? Keeping their lights on. But I think they want a general public. I mean,
So what works then, guys? What makes you a successful agent? You, Vic. You, Jonathan. What works? So we're
Giovanni.
talking about what doesn't work, right? Zillow doesn't work. Waste of time.
well, I don't know what
So
Jonathan.
works,
I don't know what
Talk to me,
Jonathan
bro.
does, but I know what Giovanni does.
My brother,
Talk to me, bro.
my brother
Master.
Jonathan is
Talk to
a
me,
pipe
master.
designer.
So Giovanni, what do
Sensei.
we do? What do we do?
So moving into the second part of this conversation, which is what works for your pipeline. And going back to what Danny was saying, is building those relationships is important, but how do you start either as a new agent or an agent who did rely on paying for their leads? And that's putting yourself out there in the public and being as knowledgeable as possible, and also nurturing. Nurturing is the most important thing. Even if this person is not your client now, being in front of them, actually helping them out, and slowly and surely you'll end up getting that client. That happened to me with an investor. We found each other on YouTube. He had an agent who was selling their houses. Supposedly he was one of the top teams in Houston. Didn't pay no mind to him, and he kept calling me, asking me questions. I could have easily been like, no, you know what? I'm not your realtor. Stop asking me questions. I nurtured him. I nurtured that relationship. I know he does a lot of business down here. Huge YouTube channel. And sooner or later, he gave me a shot with one of his listings. Sold that bad boy like this. The next one. And now I'm picking up just a bunch of listings from him. So sooner or later, you'll nurture that client to where they give it to you. And then you have to continue to follow up, continue to show up. Make sure that you're showing up day in and day out, whatever it took you to get that business. That's what you have to continue to do. And then it just snowballs. And before you know it, you just have a huge brand in that area or in that town. And then whenever it's time to expand, and you start adding other little pieces to it.
And I think that formula is something probably similar to you use, right? It's just
That's exactly what works, guys. So for example, like the bad thing about leads, in my opinion, is like you give this lead, so you get into a lead campaign and you purchase all these leads with whatever, a lender, a title company, or what have you, right? And then you get amazing salesmen in real estate. They close, 5-10 transactions a month, and then go after the next lead and the next lead. Let me tell you what's wrong with that. you don't focus on the first this is what works for me, and I say this very humbly. I'm very successful at what I do. The first 20 transactions in my career, almost 20 years ago, till this day, I talk to those clients. So once you capture those 10 to 20 deals, you don't chase any more leads. You could, but your main focus should be on the ones you already have closed. You go back to them. How's it going? Put on your calendar. Birthday, quinceañera. These little details matter. To like 10 years later, those transactions turn into hundreds of thousands in commissions for us. So I think that's where we're missing a lot of the what's actually works, you know, in this industry.
It's the follow-up for sure.
It's the churn and burn method. And that's what everybody
It's more farming. It's more like hunters. Most salesmen, you know, like car salesmen, like they're hunters, right? This is more about farming.
Yeah.
You know, you got to maintain the relationship for years to come.
But during COVID, when people couldn't go out and network and do these things, they learned the churn and burn method, where they just, hey, you want to buy a house? No. Okay. Hey, you want to buy a house? No.
Exactly.
Hey, you want to buy a house? And they just kept going and kept going and kept going. So I noticed that a lot of these younger kids, they concentrate on numbers. They concentrate on talking to 1,000 people, closing them on a deal and moving on.
Yep.
They don't know who they are.
Exactly.
They don't know who's who, what's what. And
Yeah, you know it's funny that you say that, because we just brought this person up before the podcast started, or not we, but somebody brought them up. And I remember one of our agents, when they were newer, they went to their training about how they got their leads, and something that threw me off, because we're completely against this, is this person said, if that person is not qualified who comes into my pipeline, I don't even pay attention to them. I drop them. I only focus on people that are qualified to buy now. And I was like, wow, no wonder that whenever this switch happened where we're at, they're struggling, and their team is struggling because they don't know how to nurture. They're just focused on everybody who can buy now. We don't have an abundance of people that can buy. We have an abundance of people who need help to put them on a pipeline, put them on a game plan, and sooner or later start trickling in, and then it becomes a huge wave. And that person, that's why when Nate was like, what can this dude teach you? Is that nobody really knows the like behind the scenes. And I think at that point in time, that person did not know like not to say that.
Yeah.
Which now you won't ever hear it.
Yeah. Everybody sees the luxury cars, the vacations, all that stuff, but they don't see, I mean, what does a person really know? You know, I've seen people, you know, they're like, oh, top 10 under 40 or top 10 under 20. I don't know, well, the BS that NARED be giving everybody, right? And it's like you meet these people, right? And you're having you're having business conversations with these guys, and they don't know what they're talking about, and you're like, what? I mean, what are you talking about? You know, and so it's upsetting.
Nate, and that is so true, man. It's like it's so discouraging. Like right now, you pick up a rock and everybody's licensed, dude. You know what I mean? It's like Jesus Christ, like, and they stumble into a nice transaction, right? And I don't hear from them ever again, Nick. Never heard from her, Nick. Like, what is this guy like? He stumbled into, like, it happened to me, you know. Mike Harris, the point guard for the Washington Wizards, right? Like, he bought like a $13 million mansion and everything. This one agent probably closed 3 transactions in a year, and she closed it. Never heard from her again, dude.
Nah.
You know, and he's like, dude, that one deal could be your career.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to nurture.
I think it was her career. She probably bought like an investment home or two and just said, I'm good.
And you're right. You're like, look at her, like she's traveling and went out there by Louis Vuitton, the whole nine, right? It is like, Jesus Christ.
When I see people do it, when I see realtors, right, that just come into this business and they'll close 1 deal a year or 2 deals a year and they'll close a $700 or they get lucky and hit a $1.5 million deal. I don't see it as a success for them. I see it as in like, you took money out of somebody who was making a career of this, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna make a career out of this. You just literally did it for clout, did it for whatever it is that made you happy or whatever you got out of it. But somebody that is doing this every day, working, knows the business, does everything, right? He learns, you know, how to memorize people's names, right? That person should have gotten that deal, not you. Not you that just came in here just because you're cute or because you have thousands of followers, you know? And unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. But
I think we're exiting that.
You're right. We are exiting that. We're exiting that, and that's why people like us, we stick out in this business. And sometimes, see, we go from being hated to being like, oh, let me see what he's gonna say next. Maybe he's onto something, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now. I'm being treated like everybody likes me now. You know, people used to hate me, and now everybody likes me. I'm like, okay, well, I want to go back to being hated.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Barney.
Yeah, what do I do
Friends
now?
with everybody.
Vic, as
El amigo de todos.
as our training manager, what are some things that you teach, whether it be a newer agent or agent that feels like their pipeline is dried up and they don't know where to start to go and get some more clients besides just buying ads or social media?
I always say this business is so easy, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's simple. You talk about farming. I call it's STP frameworks: segment, target, position yourself as authority. How do we segment? We pick a zip code. From the zip code, we pick neighborhoods. From those neighborhoods, we target specific people, pain points, issues, things that clients are wanting to move away from, whether it's high taxes, whether it's low amenities, whether it's bad neighbors, whether it's maintenance costs, whatever that target that pain point we're gonna hit, right? And then we position ourselves as authority. We are the ones that are gonna save them. Right, we are going to take them away from that and find the solution. And it's a simple process. STP frameworks. This is how we go. This is what we execute, and it never fails. You add that up with what Danny's talking about as far as follow up and techniques. What do I say all the time? The best year that I've ever had in real estate, I sold 109 homes. It was a great year, and it didn't come from buying leads. It didn't come from credit repair. It didn't come from STP frameworks. It didn't come from referrals. It came from everything together and not giving up. And I wouldn't have even gotten close to hitting those numbers if I didn't take care of my 10, 20, 12, 14 years of referrals and calling all the time. You know, hey, do you have anybody for me? How are you doing? How's the family? How's everything going? I'm still here. Let me know if you need anything. Hey, actually, my niece, boom, I got somebody. That's a win for the day. And I'm going and I'm doubling up. So the business I already had, it's the easiest way to generate business from. And then continuously focusing on the new growth. And that's how you have success, right? It's easy.
And there's no gatekeeping here. Vic literally just threw pearls, gems, whatever you want to call them. Who's going to do it?
Nobody. Everybody wants to know.
Nobody.
How much leg do I need to show on TikTok to get to get a $500,000 lead?
Slide in my DMs. I'll tell you exactly how much.
Hello. I think it's a mini skirt. I think that's what it's called. Above finger tinkling. Yeah.
He said above.
Picturing, like I'm already picturing all that scenario.
You got a formula here, bro.
He said, "Is that the my way?"
I will block you and report you to Trek.
Yes. No, that's terrible. No, but you know the thing about it is this, right? You know, I always tell everybody, make sure that you know, and I think this also is for lenders as well. You know, when you're going to pick a lender, not a realtor, lender, anybody, not just to work for, right? Not just to go work for a brokerage or a brokerage for real estate or for lending. Also, when you're going to hire a lender and hire a realtor and hire a broker, when you're going to do all these things, there's so much information out there for you to gather, just to gather the information on that actual person and find out, is this what this person does for a living? Because I'm sorry, I know what it takes to be a successful real estate agent, and it's impossible for you to be in Italy for 6 months. It's impossible for you to be all over the world vacationing and doing all these things and give great customer service and help your clients. Now, I'm not saying don't take a vacation. I'm not saying don't do these things, but don't put it out there like you're the pro when you're really not, when your husband is a millionaire, when your wife, runs a successful, brokerage or a company, right? And you're out there playing around, You have to do your research on these people. Make sure that that's what they do. If your dad owns a chain of freaking restaurants or franchises, right? And you're out here claiming you're a freaking big bad brokerage,
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, at least have a percentage of your brokerage dedicated to working, a certain amount of deals a year to call yourself an international or a global brokerage. I close a deal here and there in other countries, not a global. I'm Lionsgate Realty from Houston. I'm not even national. What I'm interested in is this broker, this city, and McAllen. And so, do your research on your realtor, on your loan officer, on your brokerage. Do a research before you join them, before you use them, before any of that. You know, it's so easy to do now. There's enough information out there.
Yeah, and just to double back on what Vic says, business is so easy that it's hard. And in all reality, all it takes for you to be successful here, it takes time for you to put into it. You're not going to make it overnight. It doesn't happen that way. You might hit a lick or two, but you're not going to be a successful realtor overnight. And you just got to nurture your clientele and your area. Start small, continue to grow. It snowballs. That's why we always say people who have been within the business 10 years, those are usually the ones who can, quote unquote, relax, right? Because they built up a pipeline. Yeah. But I think we've had a great conversation today, guys.
Well, hold on. Danny's attorney was sitting here the whole time, and I've never had anybody sit.
Can I say Mr. Counselor?
Yeah. So now that she's out of the room, man, now I want to ask.
I really want to know what
Daniel. She's be like,
yeah, I know. Now I want to know. So what's going on, man? So have you ever been involved in a RICO act for steering?
I didn't even know what that was. I was like, I got framed for this, Vic.
Yeah. He said, I don't know anything, and I ain't seen nothing.
I didn't hear nothing. I didn't see nothing.
No. You said something interesting before. Oh, hold on, she's back.
My console's back.
You said something interesting right earlier. You said, man, I had a heck of a year.
We crushed it this year, bro.
Even though supposedly this is supposed to be.
Listen, I have 4 closings today, bro, and I'm sitting here.
Yeah,
and I'm sick as a dog. So
yeah,
I'm sweating.
This is thank you for coming.
Yeah,
but so you said that you had a great year despite that. Supposedly this year was not good, right?
And I gotta say this, it's almost cringy, guys, for me. Like, do all this. I see interviews on social media and they're asking like the buyer, right, the husband and the little kid. Mm-hmm. You can tell like they almost like don't want to be a part of that, and they're still like, oh yeah, everything. It's like, it's more what you do behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not so much because I feel personally, right, nothing against it, Nick, mm-hmm. or you guys, it's almost like they just want the clout. They want the exposure. They want like, look at me. Like I do more behind the scenes. Like, you never see me post one closing in my social media. Not one. For what? Like, for what? Do what you need to do behind the scenes. Follow up with the phone call. Saying like my marketing team, we made... yeah. Like, we get like that personalized like bottle of whiskey with their name, the date of the close, and their last name. Like go knock at their door, like, happy Thanksgiving. Like, these are the things that really matters. Like, it's more than what people see. Is what you do for the one client that turns into another client. Is countless referrals from that one relationship. So I don't know what y'all think about that, but that's how I feel.
No, I don't know. I don't know if you were saying not to post, but I think for new agents, the social proof is helpful, and I think that they do need that. But for us, I think just being long in the business, for me personally, it feels like I'm bragging. It feels a little obnoxious. It feels a little like I shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. But you're right.
But for new agents, I think they need the social proof, and people need to see that they're doing business. And that's the thing. It's like, be careful who you're listening to and taking advice from. Everyone's at different stages of their career, right? Everyone's at different stages. I don't do some things, but that doesn't mean that my agent shouldn't do them.
Yeah. And you've been in a few panels. So have you been up in one of these panels speaking, and then somebody next to you speaking? You're kind of like, what is this meatball doing here?
Have you stop taking my...
Have you thought about that?
That meatball, man. I make that. Hey, true story, dude. And we know who we're calling that anyway. That's another story. Dude, it's so... I was like, oh my God, who invited this girl? Jesus Christ. And she knows who I'm talking about. Like,
that's one of the reasons why I don't join those things. I feel like it just brings the whole thing down. It's like, I look at the panel and say,
call a girl a meatball.
I'm like,
she said she got secondhand embarrassment. That's why.
I said, who's invited to the?
I shouldn't say her, but it was a person, right? But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So we just got to go back through all the ones.
But I learned my lesson.
There's only been one girl in the panel for the last year.
This guy.
Well, nowadays the way people handle their pronouns, you don't know.
But sometimes they invite me to panels, and I'll say who's the guest, and they'll show me the guest list. Oh, this is the guest. I'm like, do I really want to be part of that panel? To put myself next to that person that just doesn't represent even what the title of the panel is.
But wait, hold up. There's nothing wrong. Like, I want to be a panelist with a group of people who are intelligent.
Yes.
They know about their matter or whatever they do, but they have to be intelligent. There's nothing wrong with debating topics, whether it's politics, religion, in this case business, right? That could be it could be another lender, Nick.
Yeah.
Nate, they could be another lender. Even though we might dislike, we're whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
But they have to be intelligent about the business. Like back it up. Back.
And those are the best kind of conversations with
Yes,
somebody
definitely.
that's at your level that you can have an educated conversation with, have conflicting, points of view, and then kind of go through that. And honestly, you learn from that, right? That we talk about iron sharpens iron. They may say some things, they'll trigger a thought in your mind that, you can learn from. And I think that we learn constantly. We learn from other people, and even some of the new guys, they come in with fresh ideas and it triggers thoughts, and it's an exciting time. So yes, I think it's important to talk to people at your level and even maybe a little bit above, right?
Yeah. So let me clarify that. That's what I'm saying. There's people out there, like other realtors, that I can't stand. Like, me caen gordos. I don't like them. But they know what they're doing. And you have to respect it.
Yeah.
You have to respect what they're doing. And there's, and I show them the respect. But there's some people that just have no business teaching their BS method. Their BS method doesn't work. It's not sustainable. It's not for everybody. But people love it because of the outcome that they portray.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm talking about when I see these panels. I'm like, I don't want to be next to this guy because this guy does not know a thing about this stuff.
Yeah, but even though, Nate, you gotta have those people. You gotta have it because that separates the people who is a good fit for you, who's a good fit for you versus the ones that are not.
Yeah.
Like I need those lenders who don't practice lending the way I do, because that helps me narrow down who I want in my team. And it's not that they're doing it wrong neither.
Yeah.
They just got their way of doing business. I just have something, to do in my initial interviews before I hire an LO. It's like I want to know the work ethic,
It's like something that Nate said earlier that really struck a chord with me. Nate said, you're taking business from agents that are like taking this business serious, right? And why that strikes a chord with me is because we hire a lot of part-time agents here. When we started this company and really started to grow, I started with hiring part-time agents that I can turn into full-time agents, and that was my plan. My motto was, if I can get you to match your salary part-time, imagine what you can do full-time. And I was able to get a lot of people to transition from this BS full-time job making $30,000-$40,000 a year to working real estate full-time making $60,000 to $100,000 a year, and it was a great trade-off, right? They're still able to pay for their benefits, they're able to save, still able to match their same benefits, right? Just making a little bit more money. And those agents, I really made me feel good and got me to fall in love with this part of the business. Now, the people that I've passed on hiring that I think even me and Nate have kind of gone back and forth a couple of times, just like, hey, why isn't he a good fit? It's not a good fit. I don't think that at the time it was, understanding why they weren't a good fit. It was just things like that they'd say in the meeting. I'm not quitting my job. I'm just doing this part-time, and I want to make some money here. And there were some talented people, and some people that could make some money that probably were going to be beneficial for the brokerage. But I stand with not all money is good money. And if you're going against what I stand for and my values, and I might not want to do business, no shot, no disrespect. We're just not a good fit for each other. And I'd rather be comfortable into my office, happy coming in a place that I work for, and not have resentment towards somebody that works with me. So I think I've passed on certain people, based on things like that they say. Their heart and their mind is not where it needs to be, or it doesn't align with me, and I have to walk away from it.
Yeah, and this goes for probably the newer generations, like Jonathan was saying, Generation Zs. Like you have one of the hardest things to do in this business is say no. You have to learn how to say no. Yeah. There's power in saying no. Not all business is good business, guys.
Yeah.
And you have to stop doing if it's not a good fit. Even applies for client, realtor, client, realtor. The commitment is for me to you as a realtor, as you to me as my client. So you have to learn and very respectfully decline. You know what? I think we're not a good fit, and a lot of people don't have that. And let's be honest, they chasing that one commission, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough.
And with that, we're going to end the podcast. And I want to let you guys know that Jonathan Frank is my brother. I am Giovanni Frank. But he thinks my brother. His name is Jonathan.
Yeah. You look like a Jonathan.
We're just not saying this at the end.
Jonathan be saying a lot, bro.
I'm going to let my brother know. Hey,
we're talking to Giovanni.
I like Jonathan. I'm going to
tell my brother, hey, you were on the podcast today, bro. You didn't even know.
Wait, is it your twin brother? No.
No, he's my little brother. But okay, with that, no, he's a pipe drafter, pipe designer. Yeah, he works for refineries, but in office. Okay, we'll go ahead and let you exit out. Let everybody know who you are, where they can find you, and what you do.
Daniel with Home Mortgage Houston, we can fund anything attached to the earth, from real estate, land, to machinery, anything y'all need, reach out to us. HomeMortgageHouston.com. Daniel Nagera, thank you for having me, guys.
There you go. My name is Victorino Cortez. I'm the president here at Lionsgate Realty. We are hiring, we are growing, we are recruiting. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at Real Presidente.
And my name is Nathan Valderas. I'm the master broker for Lionsgate Realty. And I don't know if you noticed there at the end, Giovanni said his brother worked for the refineries inside the office, right?
Yes.
There's a difference.
Just to clarify, yes.
You work outside, yeah, that's enough.
My brother works inside.
You work inside, and that's yeah.
Just thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah, he doesn't get laid off.
Ouch. Have to go there. Okay.
Just to reiterate, I am Giovanni Frank here at the HBR Podcast. I am your gracious host. You can find me on Instagram as Giovanni East HTX. Until next time.
There you go.
Damn, bro, your whole family.